Hey folks, Bill Kennard here. I wanted to give you a quick update on the Payroll Protection Program and some things that are happening right now. Since the very beginning, we've been telling you, stay tuned because things are changing. Well, here we go. Last night, the Senate passed Bill H.R. 7010, which is the Payroll Protection Flexibility Act of 2020. In effect, this is the exact same plan that the House passed almost unanimously last week. So both the House and the Senate have passed the same bill, so it's already headed to the President, and he is expected to sign it immediately. This bill makes some changes to the Payroll Protection Program that you need to be aware of. First, and the most important one, I think, initially, is that the original Payroll Protection Program gave you 8 weeks to spend the funds that you got. This Flexibility Act now changes that and increases it out to 24 months. So you now have up to 24 months to spend the funds that you've received. The amount is still based on 10 weeks, but you have up to 24 weeks to spend those funds. It tends to be particularly helpful for businesses who really weren't able to fully open as a result of the pandemic. Second change in there, it reduces the amount that must be used for payroll costs. Originally, you had to spend at least 75% of your funds for payroll, and then the remaining 25% could be spent for utilities and mortgage and some of those other expenses. This reduces that amount down to 60%. So at this point, you can spend up to 60% on payroll, and up to the remaining 40% can go for those other expenses. Now, you also need to be aware that as it's written today, it creates a cliff, if you will. In other words, if you don't spend at least 60% of your funds on payroll costs, then none of the loan is forgiven. It's all payable. You have to pay it all back, right? Whereas the previous version, when it was at 75%, then if you didn't hit 75%, it was on a sliding scale, and just not all of it was forgiven. Now, if you don't spend at least 60%, none of it will be forgiven. So pay attention to that particular benchmark. Third item, we now move the deadline to bring back your team. Prior to this, if you had laid off employees, you had until the end of June to bring that team back. This act basically extends that out to December 31st. And the rationale behind that is it brings this program in line with the enhanced unemployment benefits that were also granted as a part of the CARES Act. Some of you have dealt with problems where you've got employees that were laid off, and they're receiving that extra $600 per week as a part of that program, and they didn't want to come back to work. Well, this basically puts it in line. So again, you've got until the end of December to basically be able to bring those individuals back without a penalty or a problem at that point in time. So that one is in there. Next item, it adds a new exception for the workforce adjustment. You had particular allowances where you could reduce the full-time equivalency of employees. Say if you offered an unemployed or a laid-off employee their position back and they chose not to come back. That was a valid reason to reduce your full-time equivalency. They've added 2 new exceptions to that one. The first one is if you can't find qualified employees. That would allow you to reduce that. And the second is if you're unable to restore your operations back to pre-pandemic levels. And by pre-pandemic, we're talking prior to February 15th of 2020. The last change that's in here is prior to this, any amount that was not forgiven, you had up to 24 months to pay that back. Payments were deferred for 6 months, and then by the end of 24 months, it had to be paid back. They've now extended that out to 60 months or 5 years before you have to have all of those funds paid back. Again, that rate, the interest rate on that loan still stays at a 1% rate for those funds. So just an update on that. Don't be surprised if we don't see some more changes coming out in the future. If you have any questions on any of this, don't be afraid to reach out to us. We will help you in any way that we possibly can. Stay safe.